Hello. A few things I want to talk about. But to get some clerical things out of the way, uh, trying to get in the habit of just producing stuff, not trying to put too much flair, just making stuff and getting in the habit, and then then trying to fix it up. First thing, it's important because this is a time sensitive one. This Wednesday, Pacific Standard Time at 1 o'clock. So Wednesday, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to live stream me playing the Final Fantasy 12 Switch version, Zodiac Age. This is me replaying the game. I've not played the Switch one before, but I've acquired it, and it's one of my favorites. I played it back on the PlayStation back when it came out. So, yeah. If you like watching people play video games and you just like the sound of my voice for some weird reason, Wednesday, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So that's Wednesday. Thursday, I'm starting this Thursday. I'm going to do a Thursday movie review, starting with these films. Not all of them this Thursday, but this Thursday, Thursday night movie review will be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino's 9th film. It's already been shot. I need to finish editing it, so that will be content to look forward to, and that'll be Thursday, 9 o'clock. So those are the two things, and then I'm going to try to do a Methos letter every Monday at the very least. Still working on that stuff, how I'm going to play that. I'm trying to keep it slightly low-key so that I'm not overdoing myself. Also, if you play the Switch, I have acquired a copy of this. I've had it for a few weeks. If you want to visit my island, I guess, you can. Let me know. Send me the message with the keyboard and the clicky. Let's see. I think that's it. Oh, I don't know when. Probably Saturday or Sunday, one of the 2 days. Do another video. Either it's a live stream or it's just going to be a video that'll be thrown up. This one's a little last moment. It's going to be either a board game that I have not played yet that's been sitting on my shelf of shame, or it'll be a miniature, me painting miniatures with the Hobbit, either the board game or the miniature, playing with the Hobbit this weekend. So that's content. Then I've been working on some other stuff, doing some video practicing, doing some cinematography homework. I don't have a class this quarter over the summer, but I've been pushing myself to try to make some stuff headway in improving my skills, making myself a better artist. Also, putting together some works on a documentary project. Hopefully that'll come out, that I'll get to start doing later this year, probably the beginning of next year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that's the news portion of the thing. Maybe I just do news. Just news. Channel news. This is channel news. Artist news? I don't know. Maybe not. So a less jittery mess than the earlier part of this video. Um, announcements. No. But what I kind of want to talk about is this idea of people working together. Like, I find it most interesting right now in the world. It's um, harder than ever, I feel like, to bring people together for obvious reasons. But, like, that's important to me. Like, I want, for obvious reasons. Like, I want to be a filmmaker, and even on a small project, it's not an easy thing to do with one person. Um, like, I've toyed around with the ideas, like maybe I just do some animation, like the, the time and process it would take just me to do everything would be a long time. Like, I might play with it, make a few like 30-second minute to a minute long little videos or something like that. But it to do film, to do video production requires a team, both in front and behind the camera, requires audiences to come and watch and enjoy, be that in a theater or over the internet or whatever. It requires people, so you gotta bring people together. You gotta um, you gotta be enthusiastic, and uh, to bring a team together to make an idea come to reality. You need to get people interested in the idea to even if it's free, you gotta bring their attention to something. So that's kind of the obvious thing. So that's something I've always been trying to put effort into doing and understanding and being better at, is how to bring people together, how to have people work towards a common goal. Be that to even just go watch a movie. Like, if you get a group of friends together and you want to all go watch a movie, how do you decide that? Like, the idea of group mentalities to come together for the simplest things, from going to watch a movie, to the most complex things, as building a nation, or giving rights to those who might have been disenfranchised. And I think it's a little bit circular. I want to create stories to bring people together, but in order to create those stories to bring people together, I need to bring people together. And I don't know if I'm any good at that. Some people say I am. Like, I've had experiences speak to both aspects of that, be it film projects or student clubs or projects. I really believe in the power of people coming together. Now, I think there's like this dark version of people coming together, and this is like a mob, and it's an unruly, passionate side of it, bringing people together. Mobs are easier to get together. It's easier to infuse a handful of people to become a mob. But mobs don't complete a goal. They are just a tool. They're the mob, like a very classic stereotype, cowboys and Western type stuff. The mob is going to take down the villain or whatever who's been messing with all the villagers, the farmers, and stuff like that. Or for those who watch anime, specifically things like Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, shonen stuff. You got all of those NPC, guard, filler, bad guy dudes or minions, the soldiers and stuff like that, and they are a mob. They're given one task: do this thing. They're given a task. It's not, as a group, it's not about creating something or completing a goal. It's a task, and there's going to be another task otherwise after it. Mobs to me are kind of like a bee's nest beehive that you've gone and messed with. It's a defensive reaction. But I want to help foster groups whose intention is to create something, be it an art project, be it new knowledge, and trying to figure out how that all works is a learning experience every single time that I've done it. Be it how to interact with people, where my limits, where my strengths are. And I think that's the biggest thing that's kind of eating away at me right now. Like, as much as I'm having trouble finding what I want and being motivated, is this sense that I'm not sure how to bring people together at this moment, and like social distancing and pandemics and all of that stuff. Like one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be more social digitally. Small little things at a time. And like, I think that gets into that idea. Like, I'm having a challenge putting myself into a group because I feel invasive. I feel like what I might want to say or what I'm feeling has already been said or done or whatever. So it's hard to put out there myself. And I think that is a challenge. That's difficult for me. And it gets into that idea that, what do I want? Like, how am I supposed to be confident and feel like I'm contributing to something if I don't know what I want? And there, as I just said it, like, why do I have to contribute? What I shouldn't have to feel that way, right? I shouldn't have to feel like it is necessary for me to add value. because I think that's part of the trick. Is it's not I should feel like I need to add value. It feels like if I want to be something more than just an NPC character, that being myself is my greatest strength. Looking back in throughout my life and my experiences, me just being me has um, come forth with that value. It's and thinking like I need to add value is what contributes to the dissolution of me being a part of a group, being part of a whole. And as I'm talking about this now and thinking about it, that as soon as I start worrying about what am I going to add, what am I going to bring to the table, what do I add, as soon as I become self-conscious of that mentality is when it starts to unravel and fall apart, because now I'm no longer seeking that goal. I'm not working towards it. I'm not the passion. My passion is my shield against the onslaught of challenges from life itself. It is my passion directly manifesting that shields me. It brings people to my cause. As soon as I question that drive, what it is that I want, it starts to dissolve, and I'm attacked. I'm attacked by aspects of the universe, be it, a late deadline, or somebody's sick on a project and we need to replace them, or whatever. But I've also learned a key aspect, a little side note for me, is I've learned that when I'm bringing people, that inner circle, I need to be more careful about how I select, how I build that core team. Because that team, originally, before, I'd bring a team together because I thought those individuals would be good for that project. The team needs to be good for the project. And it's very selfless thinking, I think, is the thought would be always, well, if something happens to me, the team can take it over. The idea, the project, the goal will live on. It will surpass me. And you know what? It usually does. That's great. Not so great for me. I need to build teams, not in support or an effort of the plan, the goal, or the project, but in support of me. Not necessarily in everything I do, but in support of me putting that thing together. If I'm the boss of a job, or the producer of a film, or the lead on a project, or whatever, if I'm the driving force, the author of the story I want to tell, and I need a team, I need to bring people together to have that team to work, that team's first priority is not the project, not the goal, not the film. It's me. It should be me. Not to cater to every whim, but to facilitate my abilities to push forward. Because they shouldn't worry about the completion of the project. They should worry about what I need them to do to complete the project. It's my job to worry about the grand architecture of whatever it is that I'm making. That's my passion. That's the passion that is filling this. And that team, that core team, is what will ripple through. And those people themselves should be passionate in what they do and bring people together. And that chemistry is important. And it gets into that idea of groups and communities. And I think, and that gets to broader, larger ideas on the subject of, communities and groups. Why, I've always wondered, why do we have a leader? Why, like the United States, why is there a president? Or in a military, why is there a captain, a leader, or whatever? Why is there a producer? Why is there a director? Why is in stories where there's a hero, why is it there's people follow the hero? Why is it? Why do we try to prescribe all of this effort onto one individual? Now, in some cases, like in the military, I understand, like, if you're a group of 6 to 10 people and you're in a combat situation, it's thinking about every little aspect, what the plan is, what your objective is not always the best thing for everybody. Emotions can be raised high, panic can ensue in, and all that other stuff. So, and that kind of gets into a little bit of a clue. Because I'm not an individual who thinks people are dumb or bad as individuals. I think for the most part, people are just trying to do their best. They care about other people, all of this other stuff, and challenges come up, and people have different values, and sooner or later, all of these little things bring people away from each other that might have, all I care at the end of the day is to protect my family. I want to enjoy the company of my loved ones and see the world or whatever. And you have two groups of people that want to do the exact same thing, effectively. But they're now bitter enemies because of these little tiny differences in their value systems or whatever. And with all of this confusing mess on top of the craziness that is the universe, these little pockets, these little groups of people aren't stupid. We're a social species. We're not. Every individual is not equipped at bringing people together and moving forward with an idea. From big ideas to little things. Like, think about your social circle, your group of friends, your family. You're all going to go out to eat on a whim. It's nobody's birthday, no holidays, no nothing. But you all just want to hang out. You want to just do something, be it eating. We're just going to say it's eating. But where do you go? Maybe you have some easy ideas. Timmy can't have peanuts. So, be careful with that. Sally's on a diet and trying to cut out some carbs or whatever. And so you have a few clues. Okay, maybe we don't go to this place. We narrow it down to a few places. But a lot of people don't want to make that choice. They don't want to say, I want to go to this restaurant. Because they don't want to rock the group dynamic. They don't want to say something and be like, nobody wants pizza for the 5th night in a row. Or maybe they feel their idea is dumb, or whatever it is. They don't They don't want to speak up. Inevitably, somebody will pick, and usually might be one or two, 1 to 3 people that are usually these people who pick, depending on the size of your groups and all this stuff. I'm not being very super scientific right now. But eventually, those few people that are picking the places to eat, the things to do, who are willing to do it, usually do it because nobody else is doing it. And there's a drive that just says to those individuals, hey, it's okay. They're not necessarily maybe picking, oh, I want pizza. They're going to pick pizza because the pizza joint might have fish and chips and chicken wings or something like that as well. So it might be able to make, a compromise. And so they're like, oh, we're going to go to, Carl's Pizza Joint or whatever. But it's inside them that says, if I don't say something, we're going to be here for an hour discussing where we're going to go and what we're going to do. And that drives certain people crazy. Other people are totally cool just hanging out, bullshitting. And out of those people, there are people who are the ones who are bringing people together. Now, these people aren't great at it. It's not necessarily innate. The innate part is there's initially that, oh, if we don't pick a place, we're not going to eat for an hour or whatever. They're anxious. They got to change the status quo. But it gets a little deeper and a little deeper, and some people are like, oh, Sally and Timmy, I haven't seen them in a while, let's all get together. So they come up with something. Maybe first few attempts doesn't work. And like matter in the depths of space, little tiny pieces of matter, over time, one little dust particle goes flying this way, and it drags another dust particle that way, and that dust particle goes, and eventually they start to coalesce, and things are attracted to each other, and a group is formed almost by the motions of the universe, by the gravitational, the magnetic forces, by the nuclear forces, bringing people together. But this is where you also have people who are able to kind of start to recognize that. And sometimes that's for the better, sometimes that's for the worse. A worse thing might be cult, like Manson and Heaven's Gate or whatever. You got these kind of groups where they like, oh, I see what's happening. I see these movements. I see how things can attract. Like if we went out into space, and had the proper technology, sci-fi stuff, if you spent energy to bring a large object next to another large object, they're going to come together. Maybe they orbit around each other. Maybe they smash together, make a new planet or whatever. But with the cost of something else, you can manipulate. And being conscious beings with the ability of thought and creativity, you can, if I see what's going on. The world is in a precarious place. Change is happening. I have an idea. Maybe if I say I'm some sort of savior or promise people less confusion by if they follow me, they won't be so confused. And this is where, much like a mob, people just want that quick response. There's a quick threat that they have to deal with. But this kind of dark side of group mentality, the things that bring people together, is if you don't have the fortitude to try to figure out everything from political and social issues to pandemic stuff to politics to what am I going to do for dinner this week? I got kids to feed, all of that stuff, and you don't have that time. You're going to follow, you might have a buddy who's like, oh, vote for blue team or vote for red team. And your buddy is much more informed than you. So you just, like, oh, my buddy says this, and that feels right. And, blue or red team sounds like what I want. Because what you don't realize is that you and your buddy have grown up, done things together, and so whatever team your buddy picks is already familiar to you. Especially if they're large political groups, like they're appealing to large aspects of our culture. And that drives us to those. It's easier to fall to that. So buddy suggests a colored team, and you're cool with that. You're not gonna put all that thought into voting for that team. You're more concerned. As much as we might get on people, oh man, all Billy does is talk about politics. But we keep Billy around even though all they're doing is talking about politics because we don't want to think about politics. So we have our Billy who's going to pick a team. Now, clever people who might not be interested in politics, as maybe they're a little more interested, maybe a little wiser, whatever. Maybe it's not just Billy picking blue team. Maybe it's George, too, picking red team. And you have Billy and George. Now I feel like I have a choice. Because sometimes I might go with George, sometimes I might go with Billy. And, you don't have to think about all the little details. You just have to think about what George is saying, what Billy is saying. George and Billy, you might not always invite them to the same party, but they're valuable to you. You're like, oh my God, all they do is argue back and forth about red versus blue, red versus blue, red versus blue. You don't give a fuck. As long as you aren't messed with, you and yours are good. You're fine. And then some, like, and this is where that gravity, that pull, that attraction happens. Whether or not you have George or Billy and or both, you might fall, something might happen in the world. You might fall a little closer to Billy or you might fall a little closer to George because they have that right answer. Maybe you get a little more interested in politics. You get more involved. And, like, it's not quite mob, not quite cult. A social movement is happening, right? For better or for worse. I'm not, like, targeting any specific thing now or in the past or whatever. But just the mechanics of it. Just thinking about the mechanics. Like, how that happens. So, these people are now forming a social movement. There's no leader. There's no pull. Nothing is bringing this mob together. This cultural event. Sometimes somebody might, a handful of people might be in there and a leader is pulled. That's able to move this mass of thought and people. Back to the politics idea, sometimes it's an elected official that kind of spurs change, spurs action. Sometimes it's somebody's in that mass of a group And there's that pivotal point, and this pivotal point isn't to doesn't get this group together necessarily, but it gets another group together as opposition to this pivot point, and they know that, and that pivot point is using and turns that effort that's against them specifically, because all of the crazy things they might do or they might say, into radicalizing the rest of that cloud, condensing it a bit. And now that cloud is in defense of that pivot point. And that group becomes much more crystallized. Now, when you think about it, this group is, for those people who don't know any astronomy, astrophysics, as stellar nebulas and the formations of planets and stars, they're dust clouds, and stuff slowly forms and coalesces into like a star, and then planets and stuff like that, and planets get all smashy, and there's still a nebula around all of these objects still. And so you could think of that pivot point like the star, and there's planetoids, within this team, this group. You might have very vocal group here, and a very vocal group here, and a very vocal group here. And they're going to work together because this pivot point is saying this other thing, this other team, this other group is attacking our values, what makes us all, this nebula, one thing. Now, this pivot point, that star of this system, he's usually clever, especially in politics. These people know what to say. And much like targeting, when you're making a movie, and you're making a big Hollywood movie, you're not going to make something that's only going to target 10,000 people. You want to target something that'll target as many people as possible. The lowest common denominator. The thing that's going to, if sunflowers are the big things this year, our movies are going to have sunflowers in them. Because 80% of the people in the country like sunflowers this year. So if we have sunflowers in here, we might not get that full 80 people, but we're going to get better if we pick this one thing that we know 10,000 people like. They really love it. They're passionate fans. That's the same thing with politics. This is why people like Ronald Reagan were able to be a very popular politician, because they worked in the entertainment industry. It doesn't work all that different. Because it's groups, the psychology of groups, and how groups form and disband and how they interact with each other. It's the same way Hollywood or the media works to interact and get your money and all that other stuff. But there's that nebula. Now see, if this group was being led by its own pivot point, and these were two pivot points clashing together. By the way, that only happens in stories. It's not Luke Skywalker versus the Emperor or Darth Vader. It's not two pivot points. It's not good versus evil. It's usually a pivot point forms. And there's usually two major groups. Usually because the two big ones force all the other little groups to the thing that like in American politics, what's really happening is these two groups want to stay in power. The people who are at the center of these groups these nebulous political ideologies. Thank you, computer. Um, is they want to stay in power. They want to hold. They want their gravity to hold the dust and the dirt and the particles together in this shape, this nebulous thing. They might not talk to each other, but they know that if they're going to keep their power, uh, only one competitor can exist. Only one real competitor, because if you only have one competitor, it's a good versus evil, a black and white issue. So if I'm Team Purple, all I have to do is rally other people in Team Purple who share similar beliefs that Team Green is everything we don't like. But at the end of the day, Team Purple and Green are one country. But Team Green is dumb. Is this sounding familiar to some people? Both sides do it. Don't fool yourself. And I'm trying not to make this too political. But all the little nebulous groups that are around these two big orbs, that definitely the thing they're not going to try to do is be like, oh, you know what? As Team Purple, not only is there big, bad, scary Team Green, but there's all these other teams. Why would I want to let you all know that there's all these other teams? If anything, I'm going to say, oh man, those little teams, they're just traitors to the cause. If they sound similar to Team Purple, they're traitors. Because anybody who's distant enough from the hegemony of whatever Team Purple is saying at that particular moment in time is fence sitters. They're somewhere in between us and Team Green. You know what's worse than Team Green? Anybody who thinks that they're not Team Purple or Team Green. And Team Green is doing the same fucking thing. And that's really powerful. To kind of get back to where I was going, wow, is these group dynamics, from small to big. It's important. It's not something you can avoid. We are social creatures. We cannot avoid coalescing into these groups. You right now may think, oh, I'm not part of it. What he's talking about, these nebulous green teams and blues and purples. I'm not even one of those particles. Bullshit. Even if you don't participate or care about politics, you're in one of these spheres of influences. Be it big Team Blue or Team Red or whatever. Or even one of the small little nebulous groups. You might not be in that group. It doesn't have to just be politics. It can be religion. It can be socio-political ideologies. Whatever. Whatever group you think is most annoying right now. Right? You're like, oh, I'm not playing in that game. I'm not playing in identity politics. I'm not playing in religion. I'm not playing in politics. Whatever it is. You are somewhere in the spectrum of that group. Whether or not you're part of a condensed clump inside that nebula or just free floating matter, you agree somewhere in that spectrum. And that's okay. Because here's the great part. And this is, I personally enjoy this little factoid. Let's say we have that big blue nebula and that big red nebula. What they're definitely not going to tell you is not only are there other teams, but blue and red in the center between those two and elsewhere, as they merge together, they're sharing the same space. They, like, think about a big box, and you threw everything in the universe together in there. There's going to be overlaps. And sometimes those overlaps put you in Team Purple, right? Not quite blue, not quite red. But they have those nucleuses, those stars, those pivot points. And they have big clumps that go around them. And eventually, over time, if you were to watch it, my favorite examples, back to politics, if you think about it, let's say like the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, if over time you watch the actual history and we were to graft this idea into a visual representation, is groups will start small. They'll start part of something else. Like there's a nucleus, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, old great internet, like the Democratic Party was originally part of, I think, the Whigs or whatever. And they were just a small little part that circled around the other pivot point, right? And eventually this nucleus started to dissipate. It lost cohesion. And what would eventually become what we call now the Democratic Party would coalesce. And that shattering is astronomy again, because when stars blow up, it moves things around and then new groups form. If you want to just start in politics, go study some astronomy too. It's but that right there is powerful. Is over time these groups will overtake each other, and eventually purple might surpass blue, might surpass red, whatever, and then it's purple versus the other color. And the same thing will happen. And so I want to talk more about this because I think it's not only helpful for me just to kind of rant about this, because group cohesion is really important. Obviously, one, filmmaker. Two, polyamorous. Three, I have plans to bring people together. Not like a cult or a mob or whatever, or religion. No, I want to bring artists together. I think bringing artists together is a great way to help those artists get more exposure and all that great stuff and cooperate. But this video is already getting pretty long, and I have no direct purpose besides just rambling about my thoughts on group dynamics. So I will talk to you later. If you like this long kind of thing, I was thinking, I don't know, I'm not editing it obviously right now, but maybe I'm going to break this up. Maybe I'll just leave it together, put that little tagline in the front. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But let me know what you think about the subject matter I'm talking about, if you're interested in that more. Next Methos' letter, I'll probably kind of do something similar to this with another subject that I'm really passionate about. If you've been watching these videos over the last few years, they're probably going to be similar kind of subject matters, but I'm just kind of put shit out there. But let me know. Talk to me. Let me know what kind of content you want to see, what's important to you. I'm trying to make that community happen here. So, till later.